So we're right downtown. I started falling in love with this downtown area when I started to realize you could go out to any of these bars and you could see people that you knew, but you would always see a ton of people that you wouldn't know. And that's one reason why I really started falling in love with this place. And what's cool about now, going out to downtown on a Friday or Saturday, you start running into a lot of people that you know, and it almost feels like family in Stamford. And then, like I was just saying, every time you go out though, you meet new people, it seems like. And it's usually not just one person, it's like 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 new people a night. And that's why for me, it wasn't even a question of where we needed to start hosting conferences. Like, it had to be Stamford, Connecticut. So recently I moved right downtown, and I wanted to be more connected with the people in the community, with the businesses in the community. And it's been great, just shooting this documentary, walking downtown. It's a lot different during the day than the night, but in a very good way. I first fell in love with the A to B concept when I was 17. I had loved playing golf growing up, and I had met this physical therapist that took me through a fitness evaluation. I couldn't touch my toes, I couldn't squat, and I was just very tight, and I just thought that's how my genetics were. And he took me through this evaluation, and he's like, "Oh, Brandon, you can actually work on all this stuff." So he gave me exercises to do, and I went from a 7 handicap to a 5 handicap just because my body could physically do so much more than it was before. And I started getting fascinated by this fitness concept, this golf fitness concept. And I went to school to be a golf pro because I didn't know what else to go to school for. There wasn't like a golf fitness school. So I had to create my own school, my own learning system. And at 19, I got my first golf fitness certification. I had traveled to, I believe it was Florida at the time, to get it. And it wasn't cheap. I think it was like $900,000. But I wanted it so bad because I knew it was an opportunity to learn about something I was curious about. And then at school, I started working out. And one day, my junior year, I noticed there was about 6 people working out with me while I was working out. Because they started to realize, like, I knew what I was doing. And they were just like, "Okay, Brandon knows what he's doing. Why don't we just do his workouts?" So I was like, well, why don't I just start training these people? And my junior year, I just started training people. I didn't ask for money. I was just curious. I was like, I think I can help these people. And then I went to this seminar my junior year, and I saw this guy, Lou Miller, his name was. And he talked about how he wanted to be the best in the world at what he did. So he studied, learned, observed, shadowed the top 10 people in the world at what he wanted to be the best at. And I was like, oh, well, why don't I just do that for golf fitness? So my junior year to senior year, I went and worked up at Mike Boyle's Strength and Conditioning. Mike Boyle had actually just won a World Series with the Red Sox the year before, and was one of the most famous authors in the fitness world. I learned so much from that summer, and I come back to school, and my senior year, I felt like I had a full-time job while I was at school because I was training so many of the students at school. I think I counted at the end of the year, I trained like 49 students throughout the year. Obviously, some were more consistent than the other, but at some point throughout that year. So I was like, man, I really need to learn from someone in the golf fitness world who's working with tour players. So in 2015, I went down to West Palm, Florida, and I worked for this guy, David Donatucci, who at the time was training Michelle Wie, Brooks Koepka, Daniel Berger, Stacy Lewis, some of the top golfers in the world. And I learned so much that year. And just seeing great all the time between him, the tour players, the business people that would go work out there. And then it was crazy. In college, I got mentored by the Duke strength and conditioning coach. For the golfers, the University of North Carolina basketball strength and conditioning coach. This top 10 rules started changing my life. And then it was crazy because in 2018, released a book, The Ultimate In-Home Golf Fitness Program. That kind of changed everything as far as credibility. And then in 2020, got voted top 50 in America by Golf Digest for golf fitness trainers. So it was just crazy thinking back to that time in 2011 where I was at point A. Oh, this is something that's really interesting to me. And then in 2020, being like, wow, I made it to point B. And that's just one of the many stories of point A to point B. And there's so many examples of that from successful people. Like if you were to ask me my favorite hobby, it's studying success. The process of success is one of the most interesting things in the world to me. And when you get around successful people, like at the A to B conference, you're gonna hear story after story after story after story of how people got from where they were to where they are now. And every time you hear those stories, you start picking up something that you could do a little bit better to get you closer to point B. So if you've never been to a personal development conference, one thing that I would recommend thinking about that would get you excited about going is to think, what if you just took 4 hours out of your day to sit there and think about, this is where I am now, and this is where I want to be. How much progress do you think you can make in that 4 hours, regardless of the guest speaker, regardless of whatever is being talked about on stage? What if you just took 4 hours to work on yourself? And then after that 4 hours, you connected with like-minded people that you can continue to grow with, so you don't feel like you're alone all the time with this big dream that you have. Because when you have big dreams, people constantly doubt you. They will listen to what you have to say and just totally push it away like it never was said before. But when you surround yourself with people who believe in you, who want to get better, they start being curious, like, oh, how would you actually do that? And every time someone says that, you think more and more about how you would actually do it. You get practice actually putting this dream, this visual to life. So think about that. If you've never been to a personal development conference, just think about that. What if you took 4 hours to focus on where you are now and where you want to be around like-minded people?